Topping today's news, we hear what the Prime Minister had to say in Sunday's national address on crime. The official opposition is not impressed with the government's crime strategy. National Security Minister gives an update on troops to Haiti and the police taking a number of illegal firearms off the streets over the weekend. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News, and it is a pleasure to have you join us. The leader of the nation, Prime Minister Philip Davis, delivered his first national address for 2024, focusing on crime as opposed to the economic recovery. With the Bahamas already suffering 11 murders in 15 days and on pace to surpass 200 murders for the year, Prime Minister Davis is reassuring Bahamians that the government has a plan of action to address the rise in violent crimes, especially gun violence. Cale Campbell has more in this next report.
With the country already seeing 11 murders for the year, Prime Minister Philip Davis, in his first national statement to the country for 2024, vows that his government planned to go on the offensive to deal with the crime situation in the country. The Prime Minister announced that his administration have implemented a three-stage approach to address the crime crisis in the country: clear, hold, and build.
We're going on the offensive, but simply our first phase is to clear out the gangs from our neighborhoods. Our police, armed with new resources and resolve, will strike hard against these gangs. We're not just disrupting them, we are dismantling them. After we clear these neighborhoods, we're not just walking away. We'll move to phase 2, which is the whole phase. Our police will hold these communities by maintaining an ongoing, relentless presence. This is an area which we think has not been addressed fully in the past. Lastly, we build. Not just buildings and roads, but building opportunities, building futures, building hope. This is about investing in our communities, creating opportunities that didn't exist before, and ensuring that crime is never again seen as a desirable option. We're not just reclaiming our streets, we are revitalizing them.
The Prime Minister goes on to voice his concern of the amount of illegal weapons on the streets, to which, in his response, his administration has already begun to take aggressive action against the crime situation. Prime Minister Davis asserts that the Anti-Gang and Firearm Task Force is in full swing, along with the fact that last year the judiciary designated a magistrate specifically to deal with firearm offenses, leading to quicker prosecutions with stiffer penalties being imposed according to the leader of the nation.
You won't believe where we are finding these guns, stashed in cereal boxes and tucked away in snack packets, buried in innocent-looking surroundings. Guns are also being hidden by girlfriends, parents, and grandparents. Most worryingly, children and young people are being used to hide weapons near schools or even attempting to smuggle them in their underwear. And this is true of both girls and boys. It's clear evidence of the lengths criminals will go. Let me tell you, no matter how clever these gangs think they are, our task force is smarter, tougher, and more determined. We are uncovering their tricks, and we are putting an end to their game. There's another hard truth at play. We don't make guns here in the Bahamas. These firearms are coming from abroad, primarily from the United States.
The Prime Minister outlaid several initiatives and investments in support of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, claiming to have significantly increased resources to assist police with their crime-fighting efforts.
We have recruited over 200 more officers, brought more vehicles onto the streets, provided more technological support, more firearms, and so on. We now need to go even further. Trained police officers are already in every school. We will enhance their capacity to ensure safety at school and build positive relationships with students. We will increase police presence in high crime areas to deter criminal activities. We will install more state-of-the-art surveillance technology using facial recognition CCTV to help with crime detection and prevention. We are encouraging officers to build stronger community ties in order to improve intelligence gathering. We are creating dedicated teams to provide assistance and protection to witnesses in criminal cases. We are reviewing the operation of the Confidential Informant Fund with a view to increasing resources to enhance the effectiveness of information gathering and covert operations. We are constructing a national forensic laboratory in order to reduce our dependency on foreign jurisdictions. We will then be able to conduct our own forensic analysis, which will significantly speed up investigations and improve the quality of evidence used in trials.
In his address to the Bahamian people, the Prime Minister spoke of the high value his administration has for compassion. However, he warns that anyone who mistakes compassion for weakness is in for a very rude awakening.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition, the official opposition, Free National Movement, Michael Pintard, spoke out strongly as he addressed Prime Minister Philip Davis's national address on crime. During a press conference at the FNM's headquarters today, Mr. Pintard accused Prime Minister Davis and his administration of plagiarism when it comes to the National Crime Plan.
The Prime Minister missed an opportunity to allay the fears that Bahamians and others who reside in the Bahamas have, that they have a sense of what is wrong and a strategic plan on how to address it. The Prime Minister referred to a strategy of clear, hold, and build. And he was unfortunately not generous in spirit enough to indicate that he was engaged in a cut and paste job, simply lifting from the internet a program designed by Robert Thompson, British Army, in conjunction with the British Army.
Mr. Pintard went on to accuse the Davis administration of doing little in the last 2 years to fight crime. He accused the Davis administration of failing to work with the opposition in a bipartisan manner when it comes to crime.
But this government is not leading the way in coordinating these stakeholders to take concrete actions in terms of preventative steps that they could take, detection, of course, prosecution, and rehabilitation. The government is not leading the discussion, and that is something we will do differently. I made the point that the government does not have a sense of urgency because as far back as that meeting that we attended in 2022, March, during that month, if I recall correctly, there were 22 homicides during that month, the highest ever of any month. If ever there was a time for you to be mobilized, it would have been then.
Mr. Pintard was critical of the Prime Minister for accusing the opposition of politicizing the issue of crime. He reminded that efforts were made to discuss anti-crime measures with the government, despite Prime Minister Davis stating in his address that the FNM was reluctant to collaborate.
When the Deputy Leader, Shannon Cartwright, and myself attended a briefing, not a stakeholder discussion on the way forward, but a briefing on the role that gangs are playing in terms of contributing to the homicide rate in the Bahamas. At that time, we presented a list of recommendations to the government and pledged our support that we would work with this administration and all stakeholders in addressing this life and death issue of violent crimes. We were never taken up on that offer to work closely with the government. So the nonsensical and dishonest press release just released by the Office of the Prime Minister, encouraging us to work with all stakeholders, is most unfortunate.
Mr. Pintard says his critique of the Prime Minister's address is no way political gamesmanship and says it is the Prime Minister who appears to be late to learning how bad things are here in country. And finally, in this segment, while much of the conversation and questions surrounding the opening of the legal year 2024 related to the high levels of crime and how the judiciary and law enforcement can better work together, Attorney General Senator Ryan Pender believes a major part of any improvements in the judiciary has to do with foundational support. The Attorney General says in 2024, the government will look to advance support for the judicial system with new facilities.
My Lord, in 2024, we look to advance significant reforms in support of the judiciary. Court infrastructure in today's environment is severely lacking. Judges might say that the state of the infrastructure restricts the ability to deliver justice in an efficient manner. We all agree that the court infrastructure is deserving of foundational upgrades. As you might know, our government, in partnership with yourself, my Lord, has announced plans to build a new state-of-the-art Supreme Court judicial complex. The new Supreme Court complex will be built on the site of 50 and 52 Shirley Street, as well as where the Rodney Bain building currently sits, spanning from Parliament Street to Charlotte Street. There will be no fewer than 19 new court facilities with judges' chambers and the necessary safeguards with respect to hearing of criminal matters.
Attorney General Pinder gave an update on construction on the new court complex the government has committed to building on Shirley Street.
We have closed on the purchase of the property and have applied for the demolition permit of the Rodney Bain building. We will begin construction later this year and are hoping to complete a construction and have a brand new Supreme Court complex within 2 years.
According to Pinder, the court facility will go a long way in assisting the judiciary in carrying out its duties while hearing a wide range of matters in a timely fashion.
The new Supreme Court complex also facilitates our move to specialty courts. In the first half of 2024, we look to open the Family and Juvenile Court complex on Bernard Road. This complex will house Supreme Court and Magistrate Court facilities with the supporting central government functions such as the police and social services. We also will encourage, as part of this complex, mediation as a dispute resolution option, especially in sensitive family matters. We will acquire necessary facilities to launch a commercial court and an arbitration center to facilitate the effective and specialized resolution of commercial disputes. And by building a new Supreme Court complex, we will then utilize existing facilities made available for a sexual offenses court and a new location for the coroner court.
The Attorney General says the government is committed to providing the necessary infrastructure for the judiciary to provide effective and efficient adjudication of disputes and provide justice for all. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.